One final game remaining tonight for the opening day of the Oceanic Nationals. We've got Ferox versus Noble coming up very, very shortly, which of course will conclude us for this evening. So far tonight, though, guys, it's been up and down throughout a lot of the matches that we've had, and so far the best of one hasn't disappointed. We've had some pretty convincing wins, to be quite fair, and there's not many of them where I'd sit back and be like, oh yeah, if we go a second map, that would change the outcome.
That's exactly right. I mean, I could sit here and say that they were unpredictable results, but I mean, you and I are both going 100% in our predictions so far this season, so it's been a good start for us. But that said, it has also been incredibly competitive. None of the maps have really been solidified at all until the very sort of last stages of them, particularly the most recent one, the Knights just edging out on top.
Yeah, 100%. And we got our predictions right. Who was the third person? Do you remember who was with us?
I think it was it Sky?
Might have been Sky. I don't know, but we've got ourselves a partner there at the top of the predictions so far. Fortunately, I like this world, don't you? It's cozy. Where we're at the top, Ducky's at the bottom. It's a nice reality to be in. The reality is, though, Ferox are going to be up for a tough ask in this matchup. Now, if we want to go into the deep dive into it here, I actually predicted Ferox like a week and a half ago, but then with the recent announcement of Noble, I just thought, you know what, I don't see them losing under the new banner. For Ferox, they've had some recent additions though, Oda and Nazgul coming into the roster, and I was super excited for them when they got announced.
Again, a fresh beginning for one of the teams here in OCE, Oda and Nazgul jumping into the fray, those spots being left open. Am I convinced that they've had enough time to solidify these changes? Not really, to be completely honest. I mean, again, tonight will give us the best indication of that, but Ferox are really just trying to avoid relegations. At least that's the consensus we have heading into this season. Again, we just have to wait and see if they can actually take it up against one of the better teams in OCE.
Definitely agree with you there. Our competitors, of course, for Ferox tonight will be Noble, fresh under the new banner. RIP to Malincat HQ, of course, formerly known as Team Sinister. And the debutant tonight for them is going to be President. And so far it has been a good night for a lot of the debutants. Guys, I think President's a highly anticipated one as well.
That's exactly right. President, a pretty big name in the Tier 2 scene, been around there for quite some time, harping back all the way, in fact, to Sleeper GG, where he was actually the captain in IGL of the team that competed in Six Masters 2019, and he was actually playing with no other than Molosca. So definitely some synergy there to be built upon. Once again, moving on, he then IGL'd for Bazaar and performed decently in the LPL Pro scene, which is the Tier 2 scene here in OCE. So he does bring a pretty decent pedigree into this lineup, and keen to see how he does progress.
What's the expectations for Noble this season? Is it second?
Oh, geez, you've really put me on the spot with that question. I honestly am probably thinking that Noble are actually trying to avoid relegations as well to some extent here. I don't think they're going to be pushing that hard for the top two. And I mean, I don't think Milo's going to be too happy at me saying that. But look, I don't think they're in massive danger of dropping to the relegations, but I also think they need to be very careful that they don't.
Okay. I'm still thinking for Noble around second, third is where they can place themselves. Map predictions, though. Do we go to Clubhouse and just might as well round it out with where we started the night?
Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to predict the map we're going to go to just based purely on the results, because neither of these teams actually have a massive or a great track record in any of the maps. So again, I'm just going to throw out an Oregon out there. Hopefully we see it tonight, because we haven't seen it just yet. In terms of what we're most likely going to see, probably Clubhouse and Cafe. I'm just going to keep it simple because both these teams have got decent results there, and it just seems to be the home of OCE.
I just want Clubhouse simply for the synergy, so that it goes Clubhouse, Cafe, Clubhouse. We'll see as the bands come out. We're definitely not going Cafe, and we're not going Clubhouse, which means we are
Oregon.
And we're not getting Oregon either. Just like in quick succession, they're like, nope, and nope. We got a Villa for our final match of the night between Ferox and Noble, which should be a good one. I'm not sure who this one favors, actually, because Villa for Six Masters was not as heavily played compared to a lot of the other maps, such as, of course, Clubhouse, Cafe, Coastline.
Yeah, for sure. I have this listed as a mixed map really for Ferox. Only 3 maps or 3 officials that I have recorded here. They got 1 dub and 2 losses. Compare that to Noble. I've actually granted them a strong map rating for this a particular map. 7 wins, 3 losses. That's a pretty decent performance from them. Not exactly sure how Villa's going to play out in this new meta. Of course, on the Shadow Legacy patch, Ace, Malusi, they're both in. And I feel like that's going to have a pretty big bearing on how this map does play out. It tends to be quite difficult on attack to get the walls open on occasion and just turns into this filter fest. But if Ace does slip through the ban phase, that could really open things up.
Definitely have to agree with you there, and I'm excited to head to Villa to end off tonight, of course. I think because we are going to see a lot of Clubhouse, we are going to see a lot of Cafe throughout the season, so nice to see some different maps. This doesn't really change too much, though, in terms of my thoughts of predictions or where this matchup is going to go. I still firmly think Noble will win this one quite comfortably now, but Ferox, who knows? I mean, best of ones, we keep saying that we're going to see an upset somewhere along the line. Could it be here? 2 new players, right? A refreshed Ferox that wants to avoid relegations, wants to avoid that bottom 2. Or what better way to start than spoil the Noble party?
Yeah, and the one thing that Ferox do have going for them is that traditionally, for the longest time, really, they have been one of the more unpredictable teams in the region. Add on top of that, these 2 pretty recent roster changes, to the best of my knowledge, haven't had a great amount of time sort of synergizing together, is only really going to exemplify that unpredictability. Throw Noble into the mix, sometimes they can be thrown off by that. So if Ferox can somehow get into their minds and play the game that they want to play and not be dictated by Noble, who knows? Maybe they could be in with a decent chance.
Well, maybe Twitch chat, maybe the community, maybe they know, as we go and have a look at the community poll vote for this matchup. 61% to Noble, 39% to Ferox, which is probably about right. It's very close to that 60-40 that we had actually for the last matchup for Elevate and Knight, which went the 40% way. Maybe it'll go the 39% way for Ferox here, and they can pinch one here, which maybe on Villa could be the case. Although, as you said, for Noble, they've had a good history on Villa. Intriguingly enough, you've got the stats there, Guz. Have you still got it open?
I do. I
Ferox,
always have my spreadsheets open, of course.
Of course, good. Our lovely new Dev 2.0. The choice, right, being able to choose either Consulate or Villa, which would have been, in your mind, the better decision? Obviously for Ferox, they think Villa.
Well, that's actually a very good point to bring up. Noble, in all the history that I have, which is a significant amount of games, they've actually only ever played Consulate once. I've got it listed as an insta-ban because for the longest time that I can remember, Consulate was basically the map that they would always ban first, or at least somewhere along the veto line. So maybe heading there just wasn't a comfortable pick for Ferox. That could be linked back to the fact that this squad hasn't had a lot of time to prep, and maybe Consulate just isn't one of the maps that they had time to properly prepare for.
Beautiful segment there. We're going to go look at the snowball predictions now, which should be very much one-sided affair. It is, which means we can confirm, Guz.
Number 1.
We will be number 1
number 2
at the end of Playday 1. No, it's just 1 1. What do you mean 1 and 2?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you could be number 1 and I'll be number 2. That's fine.
No, we're both 1 together. We're both winners. And I think,
cute.
obviously, Noble, I think they'll be winners as well. And a lovely expert panel agreeing with that sentiment across the board. Clearly copying us after our successful result in the last one. I'm just going to keep bragging about that until Playday 2 finishes, where maybe I'll get one wrong.
You'll probably be last.
Probably be last.
To be completely honest, we're just living this up while we can.
Exactly. Final thoughts going into this one. Villa, Ferox versus Noble. How's this one going to play out? 7-4?
I'm convinced it's probably not going to be as close as the poll would suggest. I'm thinking maybe something along the lines of a 7-2, maybe even a 7-1 if Noble are really on point.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not Noble will be on point, as Guz has mentioned. Ferox, of course, are going to be wanting to start afresh. A couple of new faces for a new season. We head to Villa, a new map, and maybe a chance for Ferox to cause an upset here. Have fun, good luck, or as Sushi likes to say, have fun, have fun. It's all about fun here. Noble will kick us off in the ban phase.
Mentioned earlier that the bans could really open up how this map is played, but Thatcher will be banned out first. That's not really too unprecedented for Noble as far back as I've got. In fact, the last 5 games I have, they banned Thatcher on every single occasion, regardless of the map. One of those, in fact, was actually Villa. They lost 3-7 to Okami. Funnily enough, their second ban on that was Clash, but that's highly unlikely to be the case here. Sledge will be the attacking ban for Ferox. I'm assuming the thought process behind that is to take away some of the grenades and some of the verticality that can be achieved on this map. Of course, that does leave Ace on the board. Following that up, of course, Ferox onto Wamai, and I'm going to leave this one to you, Xenox. What's the last ban going to be here for Noble?
Oh, what? Mirror? I don't know. Jeez, I wasn't even looking. Oh no, I thought I got it. Jeez, it's Valkyrie. Look, I saw.
I'm trying to just open the floor, you know. Maybe you didn't agree with me, and I just get, a bit of a watching.
Oh.
Do you have your eyes open? Do you have your eyes open when we cast? Or
I was
just
no. I just it's all in the feeling.
It's plugged into your brain.
Exactly. I just look at the spreadsheets. Okay. There, you've caught me. What do you want? I basically have kidnapped Dev. He sits next to me, and he just writes down all the results, and I just read off his spreadsheet.
One way to go about it.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be going Aviator Games to kickstart us off on Villa. And we're going to be seeing Noble defending first, which, well, you predicted potentially 7-2, 7-1. Those were your words. And if it's typically going to go that way, starting on defense will help.
The one thing that is quite intriguing, and I can also make a joke out of it, is the fact that President will be playing on the Warden. I almost forgot the name there. That would have been very embarrassing. But the fact is that Warden is actually, I believe, and I don't want to get this wrong because my understanding of the storylines isn't amazing, but I believe he is a Secret Service agent, which would mean that he actually protects the President. That makes sense, right? Yeah. So President obviously picking Warden for that sole reason. I
thought you were going somewhere with Warden and Ferox, but
true.
You just went.
Warden is in the server. Warden is in the server in a Ferox game. There you go.
No, you can't take it now. You went in this weird other direction that no one understood where you're going with.
I understood.
I saved it there for you. All right.
It was a clutch. It was a good clutch.
Clutch. We look after each other, and that's all that matters. All right.
Exactly.
Well, as for Ferox though, they are gonna take the ace up their sleeve thanks to Shade. You mentioned it wasn't banned, although I'm pretty sure out of the entire night tonight, it was only banned once. So it'll probably be an operator that just gets banned every now and then, rather than an insta ban.
Yeah, that could well be the case. I mean, I was anticipating Ace to have a higher ban rate, so adaptable in his playstyle, but maybe again it'll take a little bit longer for that to play out. Shade meanwhile droning ahead, making sure that model is clear, and that's an interesting hole actually from the defense. So it looks like the AV bomb side or the aviator side actually has a soft wall opened up in towards Study, if I saw that correctly. That's a tricky line of sight for Ferox to contend with.
President already taking a bit of damage. As we sort of alluded to throughout the night, it's been the topic of Playday 1, all the fresh faces, all the debutants, and it will be so once again here for President. I believe we're gonna rehost this round, so goodbye to that round. We'll come back to us, unfortunately for you guys. Don't worry, won't be too long before we get into the matchup between Ferox and Noble. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to just listen to us jabber on a little bit more until we press the buttons.
It's the buttons, Raven. My button has broken again.
Yeah,
I pressed it down and then it came up and then the game just disappeared every time. It's just the worst.
We have a tiny, small rehost back into the action shortly. Gotta love the ticker man. How quickly that's exactly what it says. Look, there it is.
We have a tiny, small rehost. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you reckon you could say something and the ticker would get updated with like really quickly? Give it a go. Say anything. Anything you want. Go. Say something.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
I'm not in control of the ticker. I'm sitting here waiting for the ticker to like...
I mean, yeah, no, say something and then the ticker will get updated. That's how it works, right?
Why would I... What do you mean? I'm so confused.
Well, I think the ticker man will do like a visible confusion with asterisks now, and we're gonna see that get updated. I hope.
actually don't. I don't think we have the technology for that. One thing we do have though is the rehost in progress scoreline currently 0-0. I do like that one. That's a nice little addition for what is probably going to be a. Oh, here we go.
I am a robot. There is no ticker man. We've been exposed. Oh no.
No, I think Ticker Man's been exposed as a ticker robot. So
no more making fun, I guess.
obviously, we didn't really get too far into the matchup between Ferox and Noble. But was there anything at all, guys, that sort of struck your fancy as to how things were lining up for that first round?
Well, I mean, the one thing that I joked about, but obviously didn't go into too much depth, was the Warden pick from President. For those who may not be aware, because Warden is hardly picked, he has the ability to activate his scanner. I honestly could not tell you the exact name of it, but it is a click ability, and you are able to then see through smoke grenades, and you can also be immune from flash grenades. So during some of these more hectic executes, which we do see some of the teams execute, having a Warden on the board that can sort of hold sight quite thoroughly can be quite useful. Of course, we didn't quite get to see if it would be effective, and I'm assuming that he'll have to pick it again if the round is rehosted. That's not up to us, but keen to see, keen to track if one, it works, and two, if President actually picks it later on, not only in this map, but just the season as a whole, because we do see it basically never.
I would imagine though he'd have to pick it again for at least this round, right?
Yeah, I think so, but yeah. I'm not an admin. I'm not patient.
Wait, you're a patient?
I'm not that patient. I don't have patience. I have very little patience, unfortunately.
We didn't see Warden too often, obviously, in Six Masters. I think it was only, I want to say twice. I remember we saw it once. I think we saw it maybe once where it was swapped off like immediately, and then the other time it was played like literally once. I think, did Warden end up playing Warden once?
Jeez, you're really testing my memory. I
swear that happened.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. 100%.
I swear that happened. Or I just recall waiting all season for Warden to play Warden. Obviously, that can't happen this
Warden
season.
Isn't here anymore.
No,
that's a bit.
But we do have President.
That was sad. That makes me feel sad. I miss Warden. Warden, for those in chat that might not know, he was a member of the ANZ scene for quite a significant amount of time. I mean, he was here well before I was, and yeah, so it's sad to see him go. He was quite a strong player, but you know, things happen, times change, so that did leave that gap, and Ferox have had to try and fill that. Again, we haven't even played out of rounds, so we're yet to give any sort of insight as to whether that hole has been filled, but hopefully it has been. Otherwise, Ferox will find themselves in a little bit of strife.
I'm just waiting for you to press the button.
My button's broken, dude. We're never getting back into the game. Can you imagine?
I probably could, to be honest. Well, I feel like we've spoken about this matchup to death right now in terms of the way it can go and the way that it can play out. But what about the seasons, I guess, for them? You know, we've spoken that Ferox, the main goal is probably just to avoid relegation. But what struck me and really caught me off guard is when you said Noble potentially just wanting to avoid relegation. I don't agree with the second one, but I do agree with the first one.
Yeah, look, I think my call on Noble was maybe a little bit harsh. I guess the point that I was sort of trying to convey is that I personally am not overly confident in Noble's ability really to be a strong contender for the top three. We know that the top three from OC and then head into the OCE major. I don't currently see them in that position. Losing Vinny alone is such a massive loss. I mean, it got highlighted tonight, right? Vinny was popping off a wild card just a little while ago against LFO. So that is a really big hole to be filled. And again, we're yet to see if it has been, but I'm assuming President isn't necessarily going to be a like-for-like replacement. There's going to be some roles that need to be shuffled around as well. Like, for example, Milo for the longest time was playing that IGL hard support role for Noble, but with an entry taken off the board, there might even be a scenario that I'm envisioning Milo now being shifted back to that entry role, because that's what he played for the longest time before he actually joined this Noble roster. So a bit of shuffling around could be on the cards. Again, we'll have to wait and see, but I don't know. If it takes too long to shuffle that around, then they might find themselves in some serious trouble come the end of the season.
Well, it's a good point you brought up because it definitely was the case for Knights, right? Sejon hasn't come in and taken the exact same role as Strider. And that's going to be the case for probably a few of the teams here for Oceanic Nationals, since every team has had at least one change. It may not be like for like. I think honestly, Vinny's probably one of the more like for likes compared to some of the other replacements coming in and just trying to fill that frag role. So yeah, but in terms of Ferox, I don't know. You probably know more about Nazgul and Oda more than myself personally. They're fresh faces for me at this level. But give us a bit of backstory, I guess, if you can.
Jeez, you're really testing. I'm going to be completely honest. Nazgul and Oda stuck out to names to me as well that I wasn't 100% confident on. But that said, I did reach out to them.
You did your research.
To do some research. So I'll see if I can find when they responded. So Nazgul actually responded. Let's read it out in whole. I'm sure we've got plenty of time here. So you said, Nazgul, hey, sorry for the late response. Hey, that's fine, man. You got to prep. Don't really have any significant achievements. He was on Cryptic in Pro League for season 10, so that's pretty cool. And at the moment, he is guessing that he's going to be playing entry. So let's hope he's playing entry. His goals this season are to avoid relegations, focus on rebuilding the team, because they had 2 people leave, and that was actually only 2 weeks out from the season starting. So they're in a little bit of a predicament, and they're looking to try and just work on everything as a team, really, in that limited time frame.
Well, thanks for the insight and for the homework that you were able to do, Guz. It served us well throughout the rehost. Fortunately, though, we are back into the game for Ferox versus Noble. We hadn't got into a round yet, so it is still 0-0. Noble defending, Ferox on the attack here on Villa. And of course, it is the same operator picks for this particular round.
Keen to see if there's been much changes, at least from the defensive setup here. Of course, in that previous round, Ferox would have had at least some insight to the setup because part of that round had played out. That puts Noble in a little bit of an unfortunate position, but hey, that stuff happens. You need to be able to adapt on the fly and not drop your head too much. Didn't really feel like we had progressed that deep into the last round anyway, so Ferox hadn't really dealt with a lot of the setup that Noble had created. And on the topic of setup, it looks like it's pretty similar. The soft wall on Aviator, we've also still got this presence at the top of the main stairs with President on the Warden. And Ferox are now setting up on that balcony, trying to really deplete some of that setup that has been created.
Attackers have located a bomb. Changing mags.
First round, 2 minutes remaining. Nico just roaming around backstairs. May eventually meet up with Todd. The other 4 members of Ferox just around the veranda looking to make their way in slowly. Oscar's actually the one who finds Todd. Oscar and Nico were both roaming around there, and Todd gets caught out. So as the solo there's not going to be a refrag, and that can be the problem when you're playing as that sort of solo position. There's no crossfire, there's no refrag, and now you're down 5-4.
That's a big pick, really, for Noble, who we're aware of that. And Ferox, I think, we're banking heavily on Todd to have an impact on that round, because the rest of the team is setting up for this push in through Study. It's quite one-dimensional, and Noble will now be able to turn around, basically do a 180 and focus all their efforts now on this southern side of the map. So Ferox need to pull out something, maybe send someone below, get some verticality. I'm not sure exactly what the answer is here, but this push alone I don't think will be enough.
Yeah, they're going to have to just funnel in at this point. Ferox are in some strife. President's going to get revived and brought back up. Fisher will get Sushi. Down to just Shade and Nazgul. Nazgul does find one onto Derpe and is on the board for the Oceanic Nationals. This round's clearly over, and he's going to go the way of Noble. Good start for them. Improvements can be made for Ferox, but Noble with a very, very well performed defensive hold.
How Nico actually got the Banshee that high above the like on the ledge near the stairs. That's quite impressive, and it actually is quite difficult to get rid of, because I don't think that would be in melee range, right? So you'd have to use a very well timed grenade or a Zofia charge to clear that. So that's just something maybe for the viewers at home, add that into your ranked strat book if you would, if you have one. I don't have one. Why would I have one? I don't have one, but you might have one. I don't know. I do spreadsheets. That's a bit different.
Not quite the back-to-back Warden from President. You just wonder, you play it once, guys, you can see it a few times then, I guess, right?
I mean, possibly. It didn't seem to have a massive impact on that round. It was actually a good job from Ferox to clear out that position above the top of the main stairs, or Tom's as it may be known by the players. We saw there were multiple ADS devices, the shield as well to assist, but President thought better of it, felt the heat. I mean, there were 4 players really staring him down, and he was able to just fall back. I mean, let's move on from this because, of course, we're now going to see the closet hold. So this is the hold that's become pretty synonymous on this map and on this site in particular. Other regions like EU, for example, have really popularized it. We can expect to see a rotate in towards bathroom. We can also see a rotate in towards master as well. And the castle barricades, they're ready to try and protect the players that are holding inside of those closet alongside the ADS devices. And what this position allows you to do is to really have a fortification across master bedroom, which can be a key point on any attack regardless of where they come from.
We've seen a lot of success with that closet hold throughout 6 Masters, and as you touched on, we'll probably see a lot more of it as well here. The Oceanic Nationals on Villa. 3 ADSs laid down, 3 ADSs to push through in terms of using your utility to just clear out closet. And then if you throw in Fisher Guy as well, he can have a couple of gas canisters to even further delay it. At times we even see, like, you could throw in like a Vulcan shield if you run the Goyo, although Oda just catches, actually it was Shade, sorry, catches Fisher Guy on the rotation out of the closet, and that's a big pickup for Ferox.
That is a really good use of utility to clear those ADS devices. You could see the red light on those Jaeger ADS devices diminish, which means that there's no charges left. Fisher, I think, looked at them and went, oh, I'm in a bit of strife here. He was forced to run out, otherwise he would have been grenaded. And Ferox, anticipating that, was watching the rotate. He couldn't get out safely, and now they have really good control on the attack of this side of the map, and President will fall as well.
Not just yet. Can be brought back up, and, well, Noble have been able to get Nazgul, so it's even for now, 4-4. Of course, President still needs to be brought back up onto his feet. Minute 20 seconds remaining. Certainly better from Ferox compared to the first round. They're right in the thick of this round. Right up to their eyeballs, very close to the sights here. And let's go over at landing.
The thing is, of course, without points on, Ferox may be unaware that President is actually down and could be playing this like it is just a regular 4-on-4, and that could compromise them late round if they do play a little bit safer. We'll have to wait and see as Nazgul actually does eventually confirm that kill. They will now know it's a 4-on-3, and they should be able to push site with a little bit more confidence. Oh, geez, Milo, that was pretty good damage there onto Shade, but not quite enough to get the kill.
Still a lot of time, though. 38 seconds with a 4-on-3 advantage for Ferox. Big opportunity laid out for them here. 3 kills for Nico so far over the first 2 rounds, and Oda will just shut him down with a quick to-catch shot. Has been impressive so far. Oda. Odd will get Molosca 3v1. I think Noble are going to drop the bundle here in the second round. Ferox are going to find their first round win. That C4 not going to find the mark. Had it, though. Could have really opened the door for Derpe, despite the fact he is low on health. Not going to get Todd. Prone on the ground. Ferox will spite in the second round win.
Super clean round there from Ferox, and as I sort of alluded to during the preparation phase, a lot of that defense did hinge on that closet hold, but Ferox used a lot of utility early round to burn out those ADS devices. Fisher, left with nowhere to go, was shut down, and just like that, control of that part of the map was forfeited, and it was left up to the likes of Milo and Prez to try and hold it from sort of landing and towards that stat area, but it was such an exposed location on the objective. There wasn't a whole lot really that they could do, and Ferox were able to capitalize and get their first round win.
Go down to dining kitchen. Just from what we saw earlier on tonight, going back to sort of like wildcard LFO, which I kind of almost compare in a similar manner to this series in particular for Ferox and Noble. It was very close for the first 8 rounds. It was 4-4, and then we saw wildcard just sort of pull away when it really mattered and when the going got tough. And you just wonder if maybe there's a bit of feeling about this matchup between Noble and Ferox, where Ferox can easily come out, pinch a few rounds on their attack, and really line this one up to be super close, and then Noble just pull away at the last minute to win 7-4, 7-5. To me, that's the way it looks like it could shape up. Long way to go, of course. It's only 1-1, but it was definitely a better attacking round for Ferox.
10 seconds remaining.
One thing that Noble can lean into after that last round is the fact that I'm sure they'll be well and truly aware of really where they went wrong. So it's a matter of if they go back to that site, or probably when they go back to that site, inevitably later in this map, they might be able to change up that closet hold, or even just give up on it completely and play a different strat they have in the book. So it's not really the end of the day, end of the world rather, as long as Noble do know where they went wrong. And I'm sure Fisho would have made it abundantly clear when he was screaming that he was getting absolutely abused inside of the closet.
Yeah, and I think you look back on that and think, well, it's a mistake. It's a mistake, and Ferox punished it. If that mistake doesn't happen, maybe Noble don't lose the round. I know it's hard to sort of pin it all on that, but you can look at those sort of instances if you are Noble and think, okay, well, don't make that mistake and we'll be right. President able to just push on in through trophy now.
Nazgul getting aggressive. Oh, takes a bit of damage as well. Not quite sure who lit him up, but that's obviously not ideal. Strong presence above from Noble, and funnily enough, it's Milo and President, ex-teammates, teaming up once again to try and push back this attack. And Fisho, rather, from below, shuts down Nazgul. It's a great pick to shut down the Ash, and that's obviously 1 3-speed taken down and one less to worry about. But as I say that, Fisho is traded back. That mute no longer in play.
I think either team will be too unhappy about losing Nazgul or Fisher guy there. 4-4, minute 30 remaining. To me, it looks like Noble have given up on that top floor roam, so they've come back down. And Oscar, yeah, just coming back down these red stairs. There's not much presence from Ferox on the top floor. Shade, Todd close by to each other. Sushi and Oda close by to each other. Minute remaining on the clock, though. Ferox are going to have to eventually, not necessarily give up on this verticality, but obviously going to get onto the site one way or the other. Shade's going to just try and open up this reinforced wall. He's going to be gas canistered, though.
A little bit of a weird smoke from Derpe, maybe just trying to prevent the rush in. So not the silliest of decisions, and he still has 2 in the bank. Make that 1 as another goes out to deny that breach entry. So I'm tipping that Noble do have the other door to Shade's right covered. It's really just this breach that could be the weakness. Shade does really exploit that weakness, finding his double in the round, and that opens it up nicely for the rest of his team. Oda finding one as well. It's up to Milo and Nico now in the 2-on-4.
18 seconds remaining. As you said, 2-on-4. Very important that Milo can find someone very early on, or Nico does get one, but immediately Todd and Oda will get Oscar and Nico out of the game. And Ferox have got a lead. It's early. It's 2-1, but it's a lead.
Still can't help but feel that maybe Ace is leaning this map to be a little bit more attacker-sided, and we have seen it strangely in the past, harping back even to Pro League, where there have been some play days where just overall across multiple matches, Villa was actually quite attacker-sided. So maybe I'm being a little bit biased here towards Noble, just given the fact that they're looking stronger heading into this season, but I don't think the alarm bells will be ringing too much, even if they are down on the defense, just provided the fact that they can bring some confidence to the attack and actually have some plans in place to be able to disrupt the defense that Ferox will end up bringing.
I mean, how do you think I'm feeling right now, Gus, right? Because Ferox have come out looking pretty good, and I did tip them originally. I did change that tip. I still think, though, that Noble will be fine. In saying that, you don't want to be losing too many defense rounds. This is not like they're struggling to attack here. Ferox get at least one more attacking round, and that's already a pass mark. And if they can do it in this very round here for round 4,
Oh, that's how he
3-1.
does it. That's how.
Okay,
Sorry to cut you off,
cheeky.
but that's how he does it.
Yeah, no,
Good observing.
no.
Thank you. I'll definitely be using that one. I mean, personally, I love to hold those staircases, so making that any easier is always good.
But yes, if Ferox win this round 3-1, early days, and they'll basically, what I feel like then, guys, is get a couple of free shots in the next couple of rounds after to extend the lead.
For me, the limit is probably 3, maybe 4 rounds that Noble can let slip, but anything more than that, especially if they're not close, would be devastating. I do like the fact that Noble have changed things up a little bit here. They're bringing that clash to the board. Derpay will be able to slow down these attackers even more, again, in conjunction with those Banshees. The rest of the team can play aggressive off that, but it is a high-risk, high-reward strategy, especially if Milo, for example, here does get shut down. He's getting super aggro early in this round. He needs to be mindful that he doesn't get taken down, because then the pressure's fully onto Derpay, who's holding that top of main stairs.
And Derpay's been struggling to find kills as well, as you can see. 0-3 at the moment, so maybe the clash just to give Noble a little bit of something. Well, they've just completely dealt with him instantly. Derpay and Oda, though, are both in the down state. And this is for what? 2 minutes on the clock. There's a lot going on here and a lot of utility being used from both sides. Fisho guy just making sure Shade can't just run through that door. Oda has been brought back up. Derpay, though, hasn't.
These pushes are very one-dimensional from Ferox. I don't think Noble need to be over-peaking this. They can just let them play into their hands. Derpay almost getting revived, but Molosca can't pick him up in time. Sushi to clean that one up gives them that clear man advantage now, as we see Oda rotating over towards the 90 window, and that is that second point of attack that's really important here for Ferox.
Ferox are wounded as well here. Look at Shade and Oda's health, both very low. Todd close to half health as well, whereas you've essentially got almost a full health Noble, except for Fisho guy. They're certainly in the advantageous position right now with a minute to go in this 4 versus 4. Ferox have also used a lot of utility already. Noble too have as well, but still, I think 55 seconds remaining. It certainly feels like Noble should be able to hold on and win this round from this position.
The scary thing for the attack is Nico roaming below with the C4 could deny the plant, especially if it's a late round to execute. Not sure how much intel Noble will have on site, especially considering they didn't actually bring a dedicated intel gatherer. So we'll probably have to be off a ping. Meanwhile, Molosky gets one, Todd gets Fisher, and that is a 3-on-3. 30 seconds left. That C4 though, it's massive. Nico drops Sushi, does damage to Todd as well, leaving it in this 2-on-3.
Make it a 1v3 and a non-v3. How quickly things can turn around. And for Noble, they will even up this map 2-2.
I was scared of that roam there for the attack, and I guess in the end it did pay off. I thought maybe Nico blew it a little bit too early. Maybe should have waited for them to actually get into towards site, but in the end it was actually the right way to go about it. He got the critical pick, leaving not much left in the tank of Todd either. And just like that, it fell apart. And that was the risk for Ferox this entire time. These more one-dimensional pushes, everyone basically dedicating to study. Whilst it can work and can overwhelm the defense, the second that it starts to get picked apart, that's when it's really difficult to recover in these rounds, particularly the later they occur.
I know we're only 4 rounds completed, but I've got to say, this new look Ferox lineup, it's not looking bad. It's not looking like a automatic bottom 2. They certainly are going to put up a fight this season for Oceanic Nationals. In saying that, though, the other side of the coin is they could still be a team that just maybe struggles to get the actual wins. A lot of 7-5s or a lot of 7-4s or even some overtime losses. Have they got what it takes in the crunch time moments to come away with the victories? That's where they still got to be tested.
On the side of Noble, the one thing I'm really liking is the fact that they have given up on that closet hold. Probably a wise decision considering how quickly it was picked apart in round number 2 as well. I'm really keen to see how Nico plays here on the Oryx. Of course, he can charge through walls. He can also go up through hatches, and judged on the amount of hatches I have seen be opened already from Noble, I'm anticipating him to play quite an aggressive roam below, and if needed, he can just basically jump back towards site when required. So provided that he isn't taken out earlier, or taken out early rather in the round. It'll be a big nuisance and a big resource waster for Ferox to try and hunt him down.
So I don't think there was anything committed into closet this time around. Trying through that, it gives them an opportunity. The problem is, it could be a mental game as well. It's like, okay, well, they haven't really used any utility here, but is someone just waiting around, as soon as we come through closet? They're going to drone it out like, to its fullest extent, and for the most part, this closet side of the map is going to be open for the taking on the east, and everyone else is defending on the west.
I mean, there is also a real chance as well that Ferox in their drone placements and drone positions haven't actually spotted the Oryx, and if NiKo hasn't made those traditional large rotates on site or where the drones were positioned, then that could really catch them off guard to an even higher degree. So it's important if Ferox haven't actually established all the enemy defenders and all the operators that they do, otherwise they will get caught off guard.
This could be really bad. Derpe in position, looking for his first frag of the day, and will be able to achieve it right onto Shade in that window. And that's going to be a quick 5-3 advantage now for Noble. Although, just as I say that, didn't even get to finish it. Now it's 2-4. Moloska able to get Todd. Sushi, Nazgul remain. Much better from Noble, though, this round.
Both attackers left below, and NiKo might be in a position to find himself into this match. Currently, of course, going 6-2. That's been a good performance from him, and he could well find a couple more. Nazgul will be in his line of sight very soon. He sees the tip of the gun, fires some shots, but thinks better of it and will rotate back towards red. And that's just another time waster that Ferox need to deal with, on top of the fact that they are at that man disadvantage.
But there's no reason to peek that. You've got the time on your side. You've got the numbers on your side. You go into that scrappy 1v1 and try and push it, try and peek it, and you lose it. Suddenly then, it's a 2 versus 3, and it can change the whole game. So there's just no reason for NiKo to get involved there. Nazgul still just trying to push through Astro and clear that room, and actually does get NiKo. 2 versus 3 now with 22 seconds on the clock. You get that opening frag pushing onto the site just like that, and maybe you got a chance. Sushi's going to have to find the 1v3, though, to close out the round potentially. Does have the diffuser in hand. Pushing onto the site, though, taking shots from one side, expecting the crossfire to come through. It doesn't. Now has to plant the diffuser. 3 seconds. Miloska, pretty low health and maybe just worrying, but has got that one wrapped up pretty easily. Noble win the round. That's going to be 2 or 3 in a row now for Noble.
Yeah, basically an impossible win there for Sushi in the end. Not only was it a 1 versus 2, but on top of that, there was actually a bulletproof camera inside a stat watching that main bedroom door the entire time. So Sushi was being called out, probably ping 2.0 as well by the team. So not a whole lot that he could do, but as a quick replay of the C4, Derpe goes bada bing, bada boom, good night. And that really set up the round nicely for Noble. It looked a little bit sketchy there at the end, but again, when you have that early round advantage, on most occasions, you should be able to convert that to a dub.
Yeah. No, it was really well played. And yeah, 2 wins in a row now for Noble, from 2-1 out to 2-3. And I still think 2-4 is not a bad attacking half for Ferox. Of course, we didn't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but if a 3-3 half is still really good for Ferox. So they get one more chance here to have a strong opening half. We're going to see NiKo on the Oryx again, so maybe you'll get your opportunity, guys, to see him run through a couple of walls.
I mean, that's the thing. I would love to see that, but I think that, like I sort of alluded to earlier, maybe he's not going to do that just on the off chance that he isn't droned or is misdroned during the preparation phase. It can sort of hide that a little bit and be that added surprise factor. In fact, maybe even in the last round, I'm not 100% convinced that Nazgul actually would have spotted NiKo out as the Oryx, so I'm still anticipating this to be at least a little bit of a wild card for the attack. And again, it's just another thing that you need to deal with and be mindful of, particularly when it comes to the flanks. Or runouts. Oh, I thought NiKo was going to run out, like dash run out and get a kill, but he thought better.
Oh. This would be a great way to close the half, though, for Noble. 3 round wins in a row. 4-2. Solid defense on Villa. Just sets them up nicely for their attack. for Sushi though. Just going to lead the way for Todd to then lead the way for everyone else on the Monty.
Probably the one round where they would have liked a smoke, but obviously not on the board. I mean, President with the Legion can help push back this Monty a little bit with those goo mines, but that will only be to a limited effect, really. So Todd, aware of that at the moment, just holding position, wasting a little bit of the attention, really, of Noble. Fisho guy now forced to hold this, can't hold anywhere else where he probably would have liked, and it's a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, we did see basically everyone paired up with Todd early in the round, but now he's left all alone, and he's just basically a time waster at the moment.
Turpe finds another C4 kill 2 rounds in a row, this time onto Oda. Shade will take out Nico though. The Oryx maybe not paying dividends as he would have liked. Todd just dodging that one. And as you said, time wasted, but also just a nuisance for Noble to deal with. A bit of a spanner in the works right now for Noble in this final round of the half. She's just trying to find an angle through. Instead, just going to drop on down, run in behind Todd, and maybe try and catch someone from Noble who peeks Todd.
I mean, he could go for a plant right now. There's not too much stopping him, to be completely honest. I mean, maybe a wayward C4 could take him out, but the shield should absorb a lot of that. And as Fisho gets dropped, that position is looking more and more likely. Shade, however, is traded back. Sushi thinks better of it, though, and will now go for that plant. The denial, not sure if it's quite there. There's a goo mine, but what's that going to do? They need to try and rush the planter, but Todd, he can just plug the door.
It's a timing game. Who's going to win this one? Molosca, President, both low. Oh my days! President's picked up a double though. Gets Todd and Sushi. That's the round. Noble are going to take the half 4-2. And Dirtbay finds the triple kill. President coming up clutch as well towards the back end of that.
Defenders win.
Ferox had a big opportunity to tie up the half 3-3, but just let it slip.
I mean, it was always going to be messy trying to plant behind a Monty, but I probably wasn't expecting it to go from 0 to 100 like it did so quickly there. It was well played by Noble, able to just throw bodies in the way of Ferox, able to stop that counter defuse, really. I'd actually rather stop them from protecting against that counter defuse. President popping off there, playing quite well. It was a lot to take in. I mean, I've watched that twice now, and I'm still not 100% what actually happened. 100% sure what actually happened, but it was a Noble win. I know that, and that does give them the lead.
People went shooty, shooty, bang, bang.
That's what Siege is, right? It's just click heads.
Just click heads. Run around,
Easy.
click heads.
Easy.
Reinforce walls, click heads. Throw out some utility. That's basically it. Summed up in a nutshell. We'll sum up that first half, though, with a good start from Ferox, but Noble just really applying their dominance towards the back half of the first half.
And you mentioned there reinforcing. One thing I didn't really get an opportunity to talk about in that last round was the fact that Oryx now in this...
Wait, can Oda not do it?
Yeah, I think he missed it. I don't know.
He tried it, didn't work, and...
Yeah, it's probably a pixel spot. Anyway, the point I was going to make is that Oryx now in the current meta is actually quite strong, right? Because of the reinforcement pool. That means that Nico or whoever's playing the Oryx doesn't actually need to reinforce, meaning that he can be a long way from site, prep those hatches, and hide from the drones, whereas in the past that wasn't really the case. So maybe moving forward, Oryx will be a bit more of a viable pick, and I'm expecting Noble of all the teams to probably fall on that the most.
Noble just run away with this, though, on their attack and overwhelm Ferox. Or maybe not.
Maybe
That's
not.
cool. Nice opening frag onto Dirtbait. Just catching him off guard.
Imagine spawn peeking in comp. SMH, my head.
Disgraceful.
I mean, it's a disgrace in scrims, not so much in actual officials. But I mean, we could... yeah, actually, I'm not going to talk about that. That'll probably rage a debate. I don't know. What are your thoughts on...
Hey, you're in the
Spawn
game, you
kills
can
in
do whatever
scrim.
you want.
Spawn kills... Okay, there you go. All right.
There's no rules in game. You click heads. No matter how you can do it, you do it. Sushi on the clash. Trying to be a nuisance here for Ferox. Good start for them though. Like, however you get a kill is you get a kill. Who
A bomb
cares?
has been located.
And they've
Yeah,
made it
100%.
5-4 now, and they can potentially get a nice opening defensive round, make it 3-4, and just bring back a bit of momentum because it has gone the way of Noble for the last 3 rounds now in a row. So they've got a winning streak here, Noble, and Ferox are going to need to stop it.
The
I mean, the
attacker's
only
bomb diffuser has
real
been dropped.
positive I can take
Attackers
out
are
of an
recovering.
attacker being killed so early is it does mean Noble can set up those flank drones and have full confidence they're being watched
Oh,
by
come
Derpe,
off
who
it.
will be flicking them. What? What do you mean? It's not that bad. I mean, it could be worse. I feel like losing a player early on defense is worse than attack.
I would agree with that. I would agree
Just
with that.
because you can sit on drones and watch your flank. Like, no one on the attack now needs to worry about their flanks. Because sometimes, if all 5 members are on the board, no one watches drones. And that's
Is
when
this
flanks
the
can
new
happen.
meta? Just send one attacker in to die so you can just flick around on the
I mean,
drone?
maybe.
Well, now they're going to have 2 flicking around on the drones because we'll get precedent. This round is just falling by the wayside for Noble. And now it's back in to an even path for Noble. That took like, what, 5 seconds of not saying anything?
I don't know what just happened there. Where was Fisho guy? How did he get that kill? Was it from... I don't know. From like airlock? Okay. Below? Nade? I don't know. I'll let you answer that one. You're the play-by-play. You were watching, surely.
I think he just shot him through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might have
Bullets
to get a
went
replay on that
flying.
one. I don't know.
Remaining.
I think it was like, what, was it end of classical? It was around where Nico is right now, the end of near classical hole. Either way, he pushes in. Oda's not going to allow that to happen for a second time in a row. And that 3v3 becomes a impossible
Operators,
task
you have run out of
for
time.
Miloska. And Ferox will take the opening defensive round. Lovely
Right.
kitchen.
Yes. Nice. That is a very random position for that final cam. But either way, it was a little bit of a random round in the sense that it
Yeah.
felt like it was all Ferox for the majority. And then those 2 quick picks seemingly out of nowhere from Noble positioned themselves in, you know, a favorable, I wouldn't say favorable, but at least a better position than they were previously. But again, classic Villa filtered in towards the site late round. It was always going to be tough, and Ferox were able to just shut down those common entry points. And they did take the round, leaving it at a 1-round margin now.
Over to trophy and stat for this round. Round number 8. It's 3-4. Just feel like we're heating up a bit though. Cooking in the kitchen like we just saw at the end of round cam. This game maybe just not going the way we thought it would in terms of a one-sided affair. Ferox have obviously had a pretty good attack themselves, picking up 2 rounds. Then you get the opening defense round. You've now stopped the winning streak as well of Noble. So a lot looking up for Ferox just off the back of that one win. It can change
10 seconds.
things pretty quickly. And now you can tie it up 4-4. You win this one. And well, I mentioned sort of a similarity to the wildcard LFO series that we had earlier this evening. And it could shape up to be that way. Just wonder, could it actually be Ferox that maybe pull away?
Maybe Ferox electing to hold above, having some presence like we saw from Noble on their defense. Pretty standard setup in towards laundry and on site, but it will be something they need to contend with. I mean, I say it's normal, but I believe they only reinforced one of the walls in laundry, if I saw that correctly. So that's a little bit different from what we normally see and could create a little bit of a kill box here. Fisho spots it out, calls it out to his team, and will be able to open it with an Ash charge. I mean, if Noble wanted to be really brazen here, they could fully rush in and try and trade this out, but I'm not sure they'll go for that.
I think, though, with Shade holding that angle, maybe not expecting them to try and do that, but
I mean, they're all off site now. They're literally all off site. If they were to rush the breach right now, unless there's vertical, there must be vertical watching this breach.
by having that wall open, though, doesn't that mean that obviously
There's no
depending on
vertical.
where... Yeah.
I honestly believe that if Noble droned this out, they could fully rush in towards side and get the plant down. I mean,
Well,
Fisher's
they've droned it
droning it
out.
right now. Like, they know
Yeah.
it's clear.
President's going to the other side of the map, though. Although now Fisher Guy and Molosco are both going to make the way
Yeah,
in through
they're
laundry.
inside.
So
Oh, this isn't site. I thought
this is not sight. I'm like, they'll be below
No,
the site.
That's why I was wondering why they're reinforcing.
They're
Oh,
below
just
they're
ignore
below
Just
it. They're not
ignore
on
me.
it.
Just ignore me. Oh my god, that is the
I'm
worst
sitting
call I've
here-
ever made.
I'm
in
sitting
C-
here
in my
like
Siege
you're
task ever.
getting so excited because they're like underneath the site. I'm like,
Can we just delete that from the VOD?
is
Oh,
this
that is
so?
terrible.
This some big brain play from Gus?
Nah, jeez, that is. That's the smoothest brain thing I think I've ever said in my life.
Oda gets Fisher guy, and I'm sitting here trying to say that by
Sorry.
by playing it the way that they have Ferox, they've kind of probably put a bit of doubt into the minds of Noble here and as to how they want to proceed. And as you can see in the end, Fisher guy is eliminated. So they're watching, because it opens it up, and then that way Ferox kind of know where they're going to be pushing in from. At least that's how I sort of read the play. 50 seconds remaining and 5v3. Ferox should win this round, and Guns should have a drink of water and freshen up a bit.
It's been a long night. These best of ones, they just take it out of you, I reckon.
Yeah,
Gee, that's
who cares
really
about the best of
bad.
threes?
I even wrote it down that it was stat trophy on my spreadsheet. So, I mean, 30 seconds to go. I don't know what's going on, but Noble do. President gets one. Oda gets one back. Derpe with a trade as well. Diffuser in the hands of Milo, though. Derpe being slowed down by Banshee 2. This round surely going in the hands of Team Ferox.
Attackers dropped the diffuser. 15 seconds
Yeah,
to
it makes
go.
it 4-4, 2 rounds, wins in a row as well for Ferox. Nazgul just will get the final frag onto Derpe. I'm going to say, Nazgul, Oda, decent debut right now for Ferox, and they're putting up a fight against the favored Noble. We are tied 4-4. The two closest matchups we've had tonight was Wildcard LFO and Noble Ferox. At least until, after 8 rounds. Of course, we saw just previously Elevate Knights, which was 5-1, and then it was 5-5, and then it was 7-5. But in terms of back and forth, as the whole night has played out, this one and Wildcard and LFO over the first 8 rounds. Back and forth.
Well, it will actually now be dining and kitchen. So, look, I was just
Defenders.
You were
so
just ahead of the
excited
curve.
to see this site that, yeah.
So what you're saying is now we're going to see laundry double wall.
Probably. I mean, you would, yeah. I mean, Oda's reinforcing it right now, so obviously, as you would expect, fully reinforced. The interesting thing to note is really on the attack. I mean, Nico has elected to go onto Fuse, which is an operator that we, again, rarely see. So another pocket pick coming out from Nico. That said, those cluster charge bombs can be really effective in clearing a lot of utility, burning ADS devices, and I mean, there's a lot on site that needs to be dealt with. Not ADS devices on this occasion, but I mean, you have the Banshees, even the Maestro cams, the Mute Jammers, the list really goes on. And combine that with the fact that Castle's been brought to the board, that could actually aid, or can aid, a Fuse in breaching, or using those breaching charges on surfaces, because it does lower the risk when you actually use it.
Yeah, I love the pulse pickup here for Sushi, and it shows that really so far tonight, Ferox have not been afraid of this matchup against Noble. Noble, of course, technically, if we look at Six Masters as and Oceanic Nationals, the continuation of Six Masters, they did lose their last 2 matchups in the playoffs. Obviously under the Sinister banner, before now joining, well, technically before becoming Malincat and then joining Noble.
We're going to say those words. Who is Malincat?
I had to get it in the broadcast at some point and say Malincat.
I refuse to say it. I mean, I did just say it, but you know what?
Get baited.
Yeah, I got baited. Oh, well. A bit like how I got baited on the site last round. Oh, no. Thankfully, I'm not playing. Otherwise, I'd just be attacking the wrong site all the time, which would be really bad.
This is why none of us want to play ranked with you guys.
Which is funny, because Noble actually baited the Knights way back when to attacking the wrong site. And they also managed to bait me into thinking they were attacking a different site. So they are just
Big brains.
amazing. Big brain, yeah.
Tiny kitchen though for this 9th round. Whoa, President just eliminated by Nazgul. It's been certainly impressive. And they got the advantage this round now again. Although, as you like to point out, that means President can just flick around on drones. This is actually the meta. Look at that. It's already working out. Moloska gets Nazgul and it's 4-4.
Oh, cluster charge enough to distract Shade. Fisho getting that pick. That's a super nice sweep from him. That leaves it now in a 3-on-4. Ferox on site, trying to fight for their lives as Noble will now try and get some vertical. Keep an eye on Nico as well. Those cluster charges raining out. Talking about raining out damage, Todd manages to get Fisho guy with a C4. This could be another one onto Nico. It's enough for a down. Not quite sure how that one didn't kill him, but either way, he will be picked up. Might have a couple more clusters in the pocket as well that he can use.
It wasn't like directly underneath it, just a little bit off to the side, and that's going to be the difference here. That could be the round difference as well, because Todd is now eliminated by Moloska. Sushi low, spotted on the site. 25 seconds remaining, 3 versus 2. Now to 1v3 scenario. Sushi at about half health has got a lot to do here. Can't do it. You just wonder if Todd actually gets the elimination and not just the down. Maybe Ferox win the round, but it wasn't to be. And Noble get one back.
A little bit of an unorthodox attack there from Noble, but it definitely paid off in the end. That does leave the scoreline now 4-5. Noble just edging out a little bit there. It's still anyone's game. I mean, I know it's a meme at this point, but it literally is, right? I don't know if Ferox will now be able to overcome this, particularly considering if there is a break. I don't think there will be because it's our end, but they have to continue that momentum that they had established earlier and not let this one single round sort of unravel what they had been setting up here.
It's what, 4-5 now in favor of Noble. So still very much close. I think Ferox showing even in that last round that it's not like it was a flawless round win from Noble. In fact, none of the rounds I think here on Villa have been flawless. Not so much because it's a 5-0, but just in terms of the clinical cleanliness in terms of these rounds. They have been a bit messy. They have been back and forth. In the rounds particular, we've seen a lot of, 3v5s become 3v3s, for instance. So both teams are just back and forth right now in what is a very even matchup. Ferox should be very happy with the way things have gone after 9 rounds, but they definitely want to be the winners here. They come here to win. They're putting up a very valiant effort as we head into the 10th round. Noble, though, want that match point. They win this, they'll get it.
10 seconds to insertion.
We're going to see Clash again for the second time tonight. We did see
5 seconds
Derpe, I believe it was, for Noble on the Clash earlier in the first half. Sushi now taking up
Attackers
that
are
role
moving out to locate a
in
bomb and
the
defuse it.
second. Unfortunately for Derp, it had
Attackers have
limited
located a
effect, but
bomb.
maybe Sushi can provide the goods
Defender has
in
left
another
the
sense. As
area.
Nazgul's going for
Spawn pick.
another
Got
spawn
it.
pick again onto Derpe of all the players. Derpe's already been spawn picked once. Nazgul
no.
does the dirty and gets him again. That's super rough.
Derpe's just not having a great match here on Villa. Unfortunately, there's not much you can really do about that. It's just well played from Nazgul. And, well, I'm going to say it again. Derpe can just flick around on the drones. It's the new meta, according to Guz.
It is. Noble, again, they're just too big brain for us. Completely intentional there from Derpe to
Ping
fall
2.0
victim.
is just too strong.
Exactly. They're just falling victim to the no info run out deliberately and just giving confidence to Ferox that they don't deserve. It's this sense of overconfidence that's going to lose them this match. That's for sure.
Well,
Or maybe not, as Nazgul gets his second kill.
I said we've had a couple of 3v5s that become 3v3. Noble are going to have to achieve that feat here in the 10th round. Otherwise, Ferox will tie it back up to 5-5. And as this keeps going on, I just keep thinking to myself, man, should have I actually just stuck with my Ferox pick? I would have been solo first at the end of Playday 1. Everyone would have been surprised with that. Still a long way to go here. Even in just this round in particular, minute and a half. They're trying to get Sushi from below with a bit of the information they were able to get from main stairs. But they're outnumbered, outgunned this round in particular, Noble.
Nico is proficient on the buck. He needs to do a lot here in this round if his team is to stand a chance. They're still contending with this clash. Sushi doing a really good job of just staying alive here and backing back towards the site when necessary. I mean, yes, there's still a minute that they need to defend for, but there's no real rush to get anywhere near Moloska here. Just don't get within touching distance, really, and it should be all right. Oda's there as well to assist down the classical hallway, and Noble are being tracked out quite significantly. Those gas canisters not helping, but there you go.
3-3.
It's a 3-on-3, as he called.
Although now you've got to finish it down the stretch and get the execution. Nico's also very low, so it will be difficult to see him pushing in onto the site. Oscar with the diffuser, 28 seconds, peek around the corner. Sushi goes on the offense and is able to eliminate Fisho guy. Nazgul over in Vault, trying to get involved as well, but it's now a triple kill for Nico.
Oh.
And Moloska finds a double to win the round for Noble, and they've got match point. Ferox should be fuming that they let that one slip away.
A massive round there from Nico. Not only did he go below and do a little bit of displacement, but he was absolutely going ham playing on the DMR. We don't often see Buck players bringing that gun to the table, but the fact that it now has the 3x, the longest sight in the game, of course, outside of the Kali sniper, allows players of that gun to establish really long lines of sight. He got the pick onto Todd, or the down onto Todd at least. He found a couple of others as well, and that in combination with Milo being able to get the wall open really late with the ace put so much pressure on Ferox, and it never really felt like late in that round they actually had the man advantage that they did.
Trophy stat and what could be our final round of the night even. 7-4 win would be, in my opinion, probably a little demoralizing for Ferox because they've taken it right up to Noble. And I feel like almost a mastermind when I compared this to the wildcard LFO series, guys, because I said it was 4-4, first 8 rounds, close. And then one team just pulls away. And now in this instance, in this example, it's Noble. They're pulling away just like wildcard did against LFO. And that's what separates the top teams from the middle of the pack and the teams down the bottom.
Ferox looking like they're setting up for a more traditional hold here. Some holes being generated over towards AVG to watch the study push, but in terms of bedroom, they're not extending towards closet. We only saw that attempted once and it failed. I mean, one person to keep an eye on in this setup, if you want to call it that, is Nazgul. Will he go for another spawn pick? I mean, he is roaming down below, but probably not in a position to go for one. Todd is a long way offside as well. In fact, Zoda and Shane as well down below. So this is super aggro. A lot of C4s down there as well that they can try and play around.
Have they actually won a round that Nazgul finds a kill with the spawn peak?
Round 8? Was round 8 the one where he hit the other spawn peak, or was it round 9? I can't remember.
Oh, might have been actually, yes. So maybe 1-1 in the old spawn peak arena.
You can see Derpe is being very cautious, like it's 2 minutes 20 and he's just getting close to the building. He's a bit scared.
Derpe's had it rough, to be fair, here on real. I don't blame him. Don't blame him at all. A lot of time. Noble do not need to rush this. If anything, if they play this patience enough, I wouldn't be surprised if Ferox slip up and get over Zalus or over Eager somewhere and put themselves in a bad position and for Noble to capitalize.
Fisher getting quite aggro early here. Maybe trying to find a couple of those players roaming below, but they have in fact tried to make their way back to site. Nico, again on the DMR, able to shut that down. He's going ham at the moment. A scary prospect really for this defense.
I think his KDA is like nuts. Maybe trying to steal MVP of the night away from Vinny. The only one that still has a chance to do so, in my opinion. A couple of clutch moments as well here on Villa. Yeah, look at that, 12-3-6. A very impressive performance and could pad the stats just a little bit more here in what could be the potential final round. Match point for Noble, 1 minute and 6 seconds remaining. Shade already eliminated, so it's 5-4 advantage to Noble. Although in saying that, guys, from what we've seen, it doesn't always mean it's going to be an instant win. 3-5. It's the scary 3-5.
We have seen 3-5s often swing back to 3-3s though, so it's important that Noble take their time and establish some control around the objective. But as I say, that Nazgul shows up in this round and shuts down Nico, really the danger man for this attack at the moment. 35 seconds left though, Nazgul still above. If he isn't cleared, this could be pretty disastrous if they try and enter towards that part of the map.
28 seconds remaining. Still a couple of goo mines up from Todd.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
There's the 3-3. We are prophets. Ferox and Guz here to be the clairvoyance that you need. Oda now also gets dirt by Nazgul, gets president. They've won the round. Oh, it's like clockwork, Guz, is it not? We've predicted it like 2 times in a row.
I mean, I'm just questioning what the hell is Fisher guy doing on that peak? Like, he's peeking the hard left when there's still players clearly in stat and airlock or 90, wherever that second player was. He flashes it out and it doesn't even peek that direction. So that was a little bit cumbersome from him and a little bit weird. But again, he's probably just acting off the intel that he had or the lack thereof. Unfortunately, though, that does tighten up that scoreline. We're either one round away from concluding this or heading into overtime.
Ooh. Just the, shaking the, rubbing the hands together here for what could be our first overtime of the Oceanic Nationals. Aviator Games. Is there one last ace up the sleeve for Ferox? Oda and Nazgul. Nazgul's been their best player, in my opinion.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to say anything after? You don't want to hype him up? I just led you in there to hype him up, and you just did not care at all.
Nazgul, absolutely amazing, going 13-9, absolutely insane. I mean, no, in all seriousness, it's felt like it's been a pretty well-rounded performance from the rest of the team. Nazgul just doing some crazy stuff. Some of it off camera as well, so we don't exactly know what's actually happening. I mean, that's no fault of anyone, right? Because he's doing stuff that's unpredictable, and Noble aren't reading into it either. He's hit at least 2 spawn peaks that I can remember. Really utilizing verticality as well, which is obviously dangerous to contend with. So provided that he can remain confident here and remain composed at least for the next couple of rounds, then maybe that could be the turning point and the player that Ferox really need to carry them forward.
Oda's been really good as well. And President has shown some good signs for Noble. So I think we can probably conclude now that for day one, almost all of the debutants and fresh faces that we've seen for Oceanic Nationals have done a pretty stellar job.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think maybe the only one that found it a little bit tricky was maybe Nate, particularly on
maybe
the smoke,
Hotshot. I'd say Nate and Hotshot would be the...
Yeah, but I mean, it's to be expected. I don't think anyone is going to play their best on a new team in the first game. So hopefully they just improve as the season progresses.
As I said, I think they've all shown good signs. 2 minutes in this match point round for Noble. Ferox wanting to send it to overtime. They're not done playing just yet. They have a trick up their sleeve to secure this final round. The trick is probably you want to find yourself in a 3-5 disadvantage, and you apparently go on and win the round 2-3 times in a row.
Minute 30, half the timer in this round has concluded. Noble have some okay control established over towards the top of the main stairs. President as well concerning himself with the flank. Still 3 air jabs in his pockets that he can try and utilize. Of course, no one's died early in this round, so no one is dedicated on the drones, and those air jabs will be even more important. Also important that they clear their shield, which is also hampering their progress. But so far, it's feeling like Noble is setting up quite nicely for this attack, provided no one falters in these next few steps.
The Clash is playing a bit more defensive this time around compared to the last time we saw Ferox bring out the Clash and sitting in the hallway, just sort of trying to bait out those shots. Nico's still just trying to play down below and catch Sushi from below. Gonna miss though, and technically wasting a lot of time down there as well. 30 seconds remaining. Still no frag has come out from either team. The Clash of Sushi being a nuisance can block up a position there. Fisher guy does take out Todd though, and now makes it a 5 versus 4. 20 seconds remaining. Is just around. Are Noble going to secure this win? Nazgul gets President, steps up again. Oda though going to be eliminated by Nico. Moloska just under fire, under siege. Shay gets 1. Nazgul's down, needs to be revived. Not gonna get revived. Whoa, 3 kills in 3 seconds. GG, well played. Have fun. They did. It is a 7-5 win for Noble.
They left it to the 11th hour. The final round of regulation was enough for Noble to take the win. Probably a little bit closer than they would have liked, but they could take some solace in the fact that their attacks were pretty strong across the board.
15 kills for Moloska, 13 for Nico. It was like a tag team duo cleaning up on Villa. Noble, 7-5, are on the board for the Oceanic Nationals. Unfortunately for Ferox Scars, they do fall short of the mark, which maybe might end up being a theme throughout the Oceanic Nationals if they can't execute down the stretch. And look, it's going to be tough to find wins. From what I can tell, a lot of the predictions is that they're one of the teams favored for the bottom two. If that's the performance though that they're going to bring out, maybe they're going to buck that prediction.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the way they played on that map is not, I feel, reflective of a team that is going to find themselves in that relegation territory in that bottom two. They played extremely well, especially considering if it's true, if they've only really established this team 2 weeks ago. I mean, to go 7-5 against Noble is no mean feat. They played pretty well across the board. I mean, of course, some of the rounds there were some mistakes and whatnot, but that's every round, right? No team's perfect. I think it's just important that they can review this match, being the first official they've played together, and then improve on those mistakes heading forward, especially if Villa is a map that they want to try and really solidify in their map pool.
It was certainly nice to go to a different location after Cafe, Clubhouse. As much as I love Cafe and Clubhouse, don't get me wrong, it's sort of probably going to be the maps of the season based of course, the fact that, you know, it's best of one. So and I thought we saw some really good play from both teams. It was super close. Obviously, it was 4-4 after 8 rounds. It was back and forth. It wasn't as if Noble went up 4-0 and then Ferox got 4 in a row. It was essentially round for round, just right up until the end. Even the fact that it went 7-5, and Ferox really could have sent that to overtime just as easily as Noble won it. It was a game that could have gone either way. I had to get it in one more time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a coin flip in the end. It came down to who's going to win that 12th round. It was really just Noble that edged out. Again, alternate timeline sort of storyline. I can envision there being one where that did go to overtime. Do I think that Ferox would have edged out had it have gone to overtime? Probably not. I think it would have been dependent really on who started on the attack and who started on the defense. But like I said earlier, Ferox overall solid performance, just wasn't quite enough.
And as we've been doing throughout the night, having an interview with a member of the winning team, we're going to be having Nico from Noble. I don't know why I almost stumbled on that one. Firstly, congratulations on the win. Obviously, it looked like you guys might have won it a bit comfortably, but Ferox gave you a bit of a fight there towards the end.
They did. They put up a fight. We were ready for it, but, you know, we edge out in front, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to sort of hone in a little bit on at least your personal playstyle tonight, because not only were you one of the top performing players on the team, at least statistically, you're also bringing out some of the wildest picks we've probably seen in the season so far as well. So maybe at least on an operator standpoint, talk us through like the Fuse pick and maybe the Oryx pick.
Well, I notice they chase picks a lot, and Oryx is pretty great for not getting picked, especially just running around, sort of wasting time, being a threat, a constant threat. I always want to bring them away from their push, etc. The Fuse, with the Pulse pick, I know that they love their C4s, especially on dining. Again, it's just like I just want to cause damage.
Fair enough. And then I guess leading on from that, you're also playing the Buck quite a bit, and for the first time that I think I've probably seen in a comp game, someone actually running the DMR. Of course, it did get the 3x in the update. Is that sort of the thought process behind that? Because you seem to be popping off with it nonetheless.
Yeah, look, after they banned the sledge, I was kind of ready for it, and I've been prepping with the DMR for a while, like sort of getting used to it, popping hatches with it. Especially after they removed the ACOG on the C8, like I just got to go onto the DMR. So them banning sledge was pretty much just freeing me up to to get the DMR out.
There you go.
Last one before I let you go, mate. Just sort of what's the team expectations for this season? You know, at times you guys in the past have sort of bowed out of playoffs, unfortunately in the wrong fashion, but the regular season has been good. Obviously you can't control any of the playoff stuff yet. Yeah. It's just a matter of the regular season. But is it first? Is it second? Is it just beat wildcard? What is it?
We're just looking to win every game. That's just how it goes. It's only up
easy. That's the best answer. I like to hear that. Look, congratulations again on the night. It was a tough one. Ferox, obviously a good up and coming team, and you dealt with them. So best of luck for Friday night.
Alrighty, have a good night, gentlemen.
Gentlemen, I don't know about that one, but I'll take
Hey,
it.
we are first in the snowball predictions.
True.
That makes us gentlemen.
That makes us geniuses, really, but same.
Yeah. Gentlemen, geniuses. It's all the
Same.
same. Noble, big win, 7-5 over Ferox, and I guess 7-5 is probably a deserved scoreline in the end for Noble, and I think it also reflects how Ferox were able to really take it right up to them. I think 7-3, 7-4 would have been a bit unfair. I think 7-3, 7-4 would have been what I expected the scoreline to be. 7-5 is a good middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely closer than I personally expected, but I guess for the fans at home, it was pretty reflective of the poll vote. I believe it was like a 60-40 split, so pretty close to what the scoreline was in the end. So maybe Ferox are a bigger threat this season than we've sort of anticipated.
Potentially, and especially after the performance from Nazgul and Oda, you can kind of put that to bed now in terms of how are they going to play. Well, they played phenomenal, and going into their future games, realistically, it's a good team to probably get out of the way. Noble, the next one would be if you can get out of the way as wild card. Ferox should then be able to, in their own minds, think that they can beat every other team in the tournament. So, as I said, it's going to be a log jam towards the middle of the pack, and Ferox will, just like a lot of other teams, be around there.
Yeah, it's going to get messy. The best of one format really encapsulates that. It's going to be a messy brawl for the entirety of this season, and I think for the most part, tonight probably went as we expected in general. In fact, I believe the community as a whole were correct on every single matchup, but I can assure you that trend is definitely not going to continue, probably not even on Friday night. So the rest of the season's still well and truly up in the air.
Well, I mean, the community poll vote favored Elevate overnight, so...
Did it?
They did.
Oh, well, I was wrong.
Well, no, you were right. We were right. We chose Knights.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're making fun of Manic and Raven again. I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's... I can't wait to see what they have to say about it on Friday. Let's look at today's matches, though, as they played out, of course, the opening match for Oceanic Nationals, Akami versus Rhythm. 7-3, not much of a surprise there. Wildcard ended up brushing aside LFO after what was a pretty close affair in the first half, and Guz elevate Pittsburgh. Definitely, by the end of it, ended up being how we expected it. Close one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I mean, I don't know if did I say on Relay that I thought Elevate and PK would go to OT? I was pretty confident, right? So it was close, but we didn't quite get there in the end. In fact, there were actually no games tonight that went to overtime. That said, it was still ultra competitive. And I mean, now we can have a look at the standings and see where everyone lines up. Of course, in this format, everyone plays every single night. So we can have these standings pretty well up to date.
As you can see, top 6 qualify for the playoffs. Bottom 2 relegations. Unfortunately for LFO and Rhythm, they do find themselves in the bottom 2 for now, but it's, I think, is it alphabetical? I don't know, because obviously it's either you're on 3 points or you're on 0 points right now at this portion of the season. None of it really.
Is it alphabetical? W, Xenox. W does not go before P and N.
I was actually just looking at the bottom 2, okay? So you don't have to put me on blast. I'm just
That's all right. That's okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what.
Look, I made a big mistake tonight. So
I would imagine map differential is in there somewhere as like a hidden tiebreaker, somewhere along the lines. Of course, all of that will matter more towards the end of the season. It doesn't necessarily matter too much right now. Obviously, the top 4: Akami, Wildcard, Knights, Noble, all winners on day number 1. And the beauty of this, of course, is they will be playing again on Friday.
That's exactly right. It's a quick turnaround for a lot of these teams. They don't have a massive opportunity to rectify a lot of the mistakes that they may have made tonight. If they have scrims booked in tomorrow night, that's what they'll be focusing on. But again, as I said, it's such a short turnaround. To think that those mistakes will be significantly improved upon over one day, that's being a little bit naive, I think. So what we saw tonight should be pretty reflective of what we see on Friday.
Just give us your final thoughts, I guess, on the day as a whole, Guz, and how everything played out.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Having Siege back in OCE, it's a lot of fun. We got to see the new patch, Shadow Legacy, in play as well, which, again, just changed how the game was played significantly. We saw Ping 2.0 on display. We saw Nico playing the DMR for 3 times, for God's sake. So I can't wait to see what gets thrown up as the rest of the season progresses, and it should be a lot of fun.
Certainly was an exciting night of Siege action here for the opening night of the Oceanic Nationals. We hope you guys enjoyed it as well and enjoyed the games. Of course, well, technically we won't be back on Friday. You'll have to deal with Manic and Raven, but we will see you next week.
My mind's on mine and it won't budge. Bomb diffuser has been dropped. From a darkness black is the soul in me and the heart I am. It bleeds for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life. Defender has left the mission. Defender has missed. Attackers have dropped the bomb. 10 seconds. Seconds.